As it is, and it's entitled, the chapter is chapter 7, text 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So Krishna is speaking to Arjuna and he's saying, O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. And the Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupāda. There is a common controversy over whether the supreme absolute truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. And this is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person. That the person of Godhead is the supreme absolute truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. That is, the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Upanishad. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone can know him, also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of this material world. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates a transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. I know that the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness, only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than the knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illuminates the transcendental sky as a tree spreads its roots. He spreads extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the supreme absolute truth is the supreme person of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Namo Shivaya Krishna Prabhupāda Srimati Bhakti Caitanya Swamiti Namane. Namo Shivaya Krishna Prabhupāda Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Bhagavati Shesha Shri Bhagavati Saraswati. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sadguru Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you again, everybody. So I just want to start off by saying this topic is called cup of life. Right? So just imagine that you're walking and you have this cup of coffee, decaf, and somebody bumps you. Why did the coffee spill? Anybody?
Someone bumped you.
Someone bumped you, okay. Say for example you were walking and there was tea in the cup and someone bumped you. Why did the tea spill? Sorry? Is that? Somebody bumped you again. Okay, if you're carrying water in the cup now and somebody bumped you again, why did the water spill?
Bump!
Sorry? Bump. Yes, no?
I'd say it was something that was meant to happen.
Something is meant to happen. Anybody else? Parama?
Reaction has a reaction.
Every action has a reaction. Okay? There's no wrong answers, by the way. That's all correct. But let me tell you, the reason why the coffee spilled is because coffee was in the cup. The reason why water spilled was because water was in the cup. The reason why tea spilled is that was what was in the cup. So depending what was in the cup, that would spill. You agree, right? So the point I'm trying to get is, and I'm coming to that now, is that it takes me back to when we initially started our Namahatta. This was like I think 2013, 2012, what was it? 2012. And I remember speaking to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj. And I said, Maharaj, we have a group of devotees and then we have a congregation, and how do we ensure that we retain them and we keep them within this Namahatta? And he said straight, he said, you cannot give what you don't have. It's a very, very simple thing. You cannot give what you don't have. So in other words, if you don't have love, you cannot give love. If you don't have compassion, you cannot give compassion. If you don't have mercy, you cannot give mercy. So whatever is inside of you, that's what will come out. So we said we'll speak a little bit on Ramayana, and I'm going to the point that I'm trying to make now, illustrating the values, right? In the pastime of the Ramayana, remember when there was Lord Ram, Lakshman, and Sita were exiled to the forest, and there was one time where they saw this beautiful deer. Was it a deer? Huh? They saw this beautiful deer, and Mother Sita really, really wanted to have that deer, and Lord Ram just wanted to fulfill her desire, right? So he decided to run after that deer, but he told Lakshman, whatever happens, you stay with Mother Sita. And he went after the deer. And after some time, Lakshman and Mother Sita are there, and then they can hear this voice, Lakshman, help me. And then Mother Sita she's hearing this. And she's hearing her husband, who's very dear to her. She's hearing him cry for help. And so she nudges Lakshman to say, your brother is crying for help. And Lakshman, don't worry about him. He can take care of himself. And then they hear again, Lakshman, Sita, help me. And again, Mother Sita now, she's becoming guled and she's becoming very, very fearful. And she's actually provoking Lakshman. Please go and help your brother. Then Lakshman is not interested. He says, no, Ram can take care of himself. There's no need for me to go there. And then they hear the voice again. Help me, help me. And then Mother Sita, she becomes very, very angry. She starts to chastise Lakshman. And apparently the Vedic say that she said so hurtful things to Lakshman. Things that we shouldn't even say. And Lakshman, remember Lakshman was also a prince. He had just got married. There was no need for him to join this Ram and Sita. He left his newly wedded wife, his throne, his wealth, his luxuries, and he went into the forest to be with his brother and his sister-in-law. And not only that, the years that passed, he served them. He never slept. 24 hours a day, he stayed awake. He guarded them. He made their beds. He looked for food. He made them so comfortable. Imagine that. After doing all that in 13 years, your character becomes assassinated, where somebody now doubts you. What would you do, Isaiah? Imagine that. What would you do? Would you tolerate it? Would you tolerate Mother Sita's harsh words? Prabhupāda, what would you do?
I would take her.
If somebody made you so angry like that and really, really doubted you and told you the worst things after you have done all these things, what would you do? When it's human nature, right? What would we do?
I would take them to court. You know, I kind of do that a lot. I'd take everyone to court.
Right. For what?
Just be in pain.
Sorry, you'd suffer, right?
Yes,
You'd
yes.
feel very hurt. Even at the point you'd say, I'm fed up of this. I don't need to hear this. I've really taken care of them so much. And now look at what she's saying to me. I probably would, have gone back to my kingdom. Look for my luxury bed. In that sense, because the words were very, very hurtful. But of course, we know Lakshman didn't go back. Instead, he did that protective layer around her, and on the words of her, he went looking for Ram. And when he went to Lord Ram, he finds Ram. And then Ram asks him, "What are you doing here? I gave you an instruction. You were supposed to stay with Mother Sita." And then Lakshman, very, very calmly says, "Look, Mother Sita, this is what she said, and she asked me to come look for you because, she felt your life was in danger, and as much as I pleaded, she still insisted and came, and then Ram thinks, oh no, this is some conspiracy. Lakshman, let's go back quickly." So they go back to Mother Sita's place where she left, and when they go there, what happens? You see, she's not there. And so Ram becomes very frantic, and he and Lakshman, they start searching, and Ram's screaming for Sita, and there's no answer. And then his emotions turn into anger, and then he unleashes on Lakshman again. And he tells him the worst things. You're so incompetent. I gave you one instruction, just to look after Mother Sita. And what did you do? Because of you now she's been captured and we can't find her. And he again tells him the worst things. And then what did Lakshman do? He got so fed up, he went back to his kingdom, right? Did he? Did he go back to his kingdom? No, he didn't go back to his kingdom, right? He just tolerated. He listened to Ram, he put his head down. And again, after doing so much for your brother, for your sister-in-law, fighting with him, against all the demons, taking care of him, and now you become chastised like that day. Again, many of us, we go through this here, right? Even at work, even with our families, even amongst devotees, we suffer like this here. We get chastised. And what do? We retaliate, or we just basically give up our spiritual life, and then we try to do it on our own. It doesn't work. Right? So Lakshman and Ram, they continued, they carried on, and they searched for Sita, and you know how the story goes after. But again, my point is, what was in you, what is in you will actually come out. And the fact that Lakshman had so much of love for Ram, and so much of love for Mother Sita, that despite all that chastisement, he still stayed, he still showed his love, and he still tolerated. So again, many of us, we cannot be like this. Somebody says us something and immediately the ego just cuts in like that. And we want to retaliate, and it becomes like an argument and things like that. Because what's in us will come out. And I tell you, it's something that I really, really struggle with. Especially on the road. I tell you this, if you want to learn how to be tolerant, drive the whole day. I tell you, your tolerance can really, really be tested, to such an extent, for those of you that drive.
Prabhu was second you on that. That's why I gave up driving at the time.
Right.
I won't lie to you. Every day I was on the road, I wanted to murder someone. I'm serious.
I know how you feel. I really know how you
You look at
feel.
them, you're thinking whether this is an animal or a human.
But anyway, going back to the point now, this is what is inside will actually come out. So we have to be very, very careful. And sometimes we get angry with devotees, we get angry with our family members, we get angry with our siblings, we get angry with our friends. It's normal. And sometimes we even get angry with Krishna or God. How many of you have ever had a conversation with God where you're just lashed out? I have it all the time. I'm telling you, I question all the time. There's so many times in my life that, things didn't go the way I wanted. Or I didn't get the result that I wanted. And then the conversation started between me and him. It just goes, sometimes it's heated. It's one-sided, obviously, because I'm saying what I want to say. But you get the point what I'm saying, right? But I found at least, is that even though I didn't get the result that I wanted, after a week, after a month, I found that it was actually the best result that I actually got, even though it was what I didn't get. So many, many times in our life, we may doubt God, we may doubt His way in us, because being devotees, but we have to trust Him to know that whatever is happening for the best in our life. And I'll just end with this one small short story. So there was this nice beautiful temple, and in that temple was a statue of or a murti of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna, how he stands with his leg crossed and he's got the flute like that, right? And he's standing there in that pose. And then there's this janitor, this cleaner, used to clean the temple every day. And he became very attached to this murti of Krishna. And so one day, while when there was no one there, he began talking to this murti. And he says, I feel so sorry for you. I feel so sorry, even though you're God. But you're standing in this position for so long. Allow me to trade places with you. Krishna heard this and he spoke back. And his heart was touched, and he says, I can give you the opportunity to trade. I will become the janitor. And you can take my place for one day on one condition. No matter what happens, you never ever interfere. And so the janitor, he accepted, and Krishna took his form, and he took the form of the murti, and so Krishna went away. And then there was a visitor in the temple. The first guy that came in there, very, very sort of like a helpless person, very, very poor. He walked in, he prayed, he had this last coin. No, sorry, I got it wrong. There was a rich man that came first. There was a rich man that came. So he walked in and he had this bag of money. So when he walked in, he did his prayer and he left his bag one side. But he got so involved in the prayer that he forgot his bag of money and he went away. The next person that came was this very, very poor person. He walked in and he had this last coin. So he dropped it into the hundi, a box or whatever it was, and then he bowed down to pray. And as he woke up, he looked around and he saw this bag. And of course he prayed for money, right? And he saw this bag, and then he went to the bag and he looked around and he could see nobody there. So he opened the bag and then he sees full of money. And then he thinks, oh my God, this is you, Krishna. You've given me this money. He's so happy now. I mean, you come from poverty and things like that there, and then you don't have the luxuries of life. When you see something like this here, there's no second thoughts for most people. There's no second thoughts. So you don't blame anybody in this case, right? So he took the bag, he was very, very happy, and he went away. The third person that came was a sailor. And he walked in, and he came and he prayed. And he wanted to pray for protection. He started praying for protection because he was going out to sea that night. And that night there was going to be a storm. So he prayed for protection. And as he was praying, this rich man came in with the police. And he looks for his bag there, he doesn't see his bag. But he sees a sailor. And then he says to the police, There's this man here, he's the only one that was here. Arrest him because he's taken my money, my bag of money. So the police, they grab him. And this sailor is saying, I had nothing to do with this. There was no money, there was no bag when I came here. And so they dragging him, and then this person now, this janitor who's in Krishna's murti, he's seeing what's going on and he can't hold himself back. He has to get involved. So he forgot what Krishna initially told him. It was, don't interfere, don't get involved. So he threw his voice and he says, this man is not the thief. You are making a mistake by basically taking him to prison. And then the rich man hears this, all of them hear this and they stop. And then the rich man says, look, he's such a big thief that he's actually throwing his voice and he's trying to fool us. Take him away quickly. So they take the sailor and they lock him up. And they all go away from there. And then Krishna comes back that evening. And then he swaps the form again with the janitor. He takes his original place. And then the janitor takes his, his form, or his body. And Krishna asks him, so how did it go? And then the janitor says, this person came, the poor man, rich man, and eventually the sailor came. And the sailor, he got imprisoned for nothing. And I tried to stop it. And then Krishna says, you shouldn't have interfered. I told you not to interfere because everything that I do has a reason. And he says, that rich man had too much of money. That poor man had nothing, the last coin, but he still gave it to me. And that sailor was imprisoned. Had you interfered, and had he not got imprisoned, he would have went out to sea. And that night, his ship capsized because of the storm. And he would have been killed. So, the fact that he was imprisoned, he was saved. So my way is always the best way. Never ever doubt that. Right? So the janitor went and that's how the story ends like that there. But we should have full confidence and full faith in Krishna consciousness. Krishna is really, really taking care of us. And at times, we may not understand his way, but we have to rest assured that the time that we most need it, he'll be there for us. And I think many, many of you can bear testimony to that. If we each ask each one of you, you'll be able to speak your testimonies about how Krishna has helped you, right? In some way or other. So we're very grateful for Krishna consciousness, for Srila Prabhupada who brought this movement to us. I mean, every one of us right here now, if I were to ask you, where would you be right now? Gosh, some of our things we don't even know, some of the answers that people will give us, right? So we're very, very grateful, and this is a lovely Namahatta. It's a very, very nice thing we're doing for Paramatma, and we pray that this will continue like this year. It is for the glory of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, and if it's done and continued in this way very, very nicely with the proper desires, then this Namahatta will spread. It will spread and it will shine like a lighthouse. Because there's a lot of people in Reservoir Hills. There's a lot of people. And Prabhupada said, we built the temple where the whole world can reside. So this is where the whole of Reservoir Hills can come to. And why not? Why not? Anything is possible with Krishna. So I'll stop there. I hope I haven't said anything to offend you in any way. And those of you who have come here for the first time as well, thank you very, very much for coming. We also hope that you will be here every week. Please help Paramatma. Please help this Namahatta grow, all for the glory of Srila Prabhupāda. Srila Prabhupāda ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Prema Namahatta ki Gaura Prema Nande.
His Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupāda.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Really appreciate it. Hope you can join us again.
We will try.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.